This is the OMFL.
You can't touch this.
And you're in the mix with Kinda Real Name. Here's another OMFL production.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly OMFL podcast show. Sorry, I had forgot what I was doing for a second there. I forgot how I had my setup all ready to go. I am your commish, Nate, and as always, I appreciate you for being here on an early Saturday morning. I do not know what I was thinking. It's a rough week. I think all of us are experiencing pretty rough weeks in this new day and age that we're all navigating. And I needed to unplug, and I unplugged a little too hard. Stayed up till 2 o'clock in the morning playing some shooters with the guys after my Madden game, and then got up bright and early. And as I rolled out of the bed, good morning, Kev, my wife looked at me and said, you're retarded. And I was like, yeah, I know, but this is what we signed up to do. I get to welcome in a new face, an old face, a familiar face, but somebody that we haven't had on the show in quite some time. Mr. D. Wayne, how's it going this morning, buddy?
It's good. Second cup of coffee this morning. Been kicking around, studying some OMFL lore, and blowing up some ships on World of Warships this morning. So it started off pretty good.
So when we say coffee, are we like old man coffee? We're just like community coffee in a pot with like no sugar, no cream?
Very little sugar, but it's mostly black coffee. I just drink straight black coffee.
Black coffee is for the devil. That's what Mama always said. I am fancy pantsy pants, and I have an espresso machine, 2 cups of espresso, nice froth milk, some chocolate, a little bit of sugar, and got you a nice little chocolate latte there. So that's how I rock my coffee, but that's about a 10-minute excursion that I don't have the energy for this morning. All right, let's jump right into it. It's fire drill time. We've only got 2 weeks to choose from, week 1 or week 2. What was your favorite game for week 1 or week 2?
Week 1, that's tough. I really had 2 games wrote down. But I'll actually go with week 1 just because it's an anomaly game. Some of the stats just don't add up to the way the final score was. It's a Cowboys-Eagles game. Cowboys came out 36-30 in this game. It was just a ridiculous game. Just because if you look at the stats, you just would have thought the Eagles would run away with this game. Both teams 50% from third down percentage. Offensive red zone was kind of telltale here. 100% for the Cowboys, only 50% in the red zone for the Eagles. In a close game like this, man, that's just huge. This is where it gets crazy to me, is the sack differential. Eagles had 11 sacks in this game. Just ridiculous.
That's stupid. I think Cox had 9 by himself.
9 sacks for Cox, only 2 for the Cowboys. I've heard Maniac, say throughout the thing that his team, it doesn't seem like it's getting no pressure. But it's just like the Eagles just took all the pressure this game, and it still didn't equate it for victory. That's just crazy to me. That many sacks. Prescott did throw for 357 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. That's not really Maniac's game. He likes to run the ball. He likes to control the game. Zeke had 69 yards on 50 carries. Bates 47 yards on 8 carries and a touchdown each. Gallup, and I think we've all heard Maniac talk about this. I think when you say undrafted rookie Sherwood had 115 yards. I guess he had to air it out. When you get sacked 11 times in the game, you get put in, third and long, second longs, and you have to air it out. Can't really run the ball. And the Cowboys escaped this game. I'm not really sure how. Byron Jones had 2 interceptions. It's just crazy for me to have a team have 11 sacks and not win. And especially Koch he's been a pretty solid thing. I think he's won that division at least once or twice this cycle. He's been real competitive with this Eagles team, which is an older team that he kind of had to make his own. If you go over there, Wentz did not have a real great game. 13 for 21, which is, like 62% passing, 158 yards, 2 picks. Howard and Paul combined for 130 yards, 2 touchdowns. But like I said, 60 yards of that 130 were in one play. Ertz leads the way with Solomon, 4 receptions apiece. And like I said, you go down defense, Cox 9 sacks. It just is ridiculous. I think that's almost as many sacks as my leader last year had the whole season. Brown had a sack. Clark had a sack, which I want to say is a new pickup for him, or maybe a season. Darby had a pick. Maddox had a pick. This game, just if you just looked at the paper, you think the Eagles run away with this game. But the Maniac found a way to pull it out, and these are the games that I tell people that apparently Madden did not want you to win this game. You still won it. Yeah. These are those games that the wins that you just don't count on, but you're glad to have.
Yeah, crazy game. 1 punt from the Cowboys or from the Eagles this whole game. So like even their offense was just kind of rolling, and yet they fall a little short. That's a tough one to lose. I'm going to go to one that was right above that, the Jets and the Steelers. Pittsburgh comes away with a 22-19 victory with a 15-point fourth quarter. They kind of ran away with this one in the fourth quarter. This team is so absolutely loaded from top to bottom. 20 first downs on offense to only 8 first downs for the New York Jets. 5 turnovers for the Steelers, and somehow, some way, they still come away with the victory. 8 third down conversions to only 2 for the Jets. And then time of possession, listen to this number, 24:49 to 15 minutes. You can't get any type of offensive flow. You can't get into any steadiness. You just can't get into anything when you only have the ball for 15 minutes. It's really, really tough. Goff, 302 yards, sacked 4 times on 18 of 30 pass attempts. Ken Green, rookie out of LSU. My brain is not wanting to play along today. 148 passing yards. 41 came on 1 play, so only 107 passing yards without that 1 play. He was sacked 7 times, and he was 9 for 22. That's a rough day for the rookie quarterback. Jamal Green had 9 for 96 with 2 touchdowns. And then Cohen right behind him, 17 for 64. Bale, a rough day running the ball for the Jets, 12 for 38, no touchdowns. Receiving, Gary Jennings, had a pretty good game for the Jets, 5 for 110. Was not able to get into the end zone. And then Washington was the top receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, 4 for 80. I think if you look at the blocking stats, you're going to see exactly where all these sacks came from. That was from the left side. The left tackle gave up 3. The right tackle gave up 2. I mean, that's a tough day for the 2 defensive ends. But when you play those Pittsburgh Steelers, he has literally like 8 superstars on that side of the ball. Just crazy X factors on the defensive side of the ball. That I think that whole front 7 is either superstar or X factor.
Ridiculous.
It just doesn't even make a whole lot of sense. Looking at the sack leaders, T.J. Watt was doing his thing with 4. Matt came off the other side with 3. To kind of lead the Steelers away. And then interceptions, LaMarcus Joyner, who's one of the top untalked about safeties here in this league, but that's what Clyde does. He has some of the top players. He's got 2 interceptions. And then again, Pittsburgh Steelers comes away with a win with a 15-point fourth quarter. That defense tightens up, and that's a tough loss for the Jets, and that's a little bit what you're going to get when you have a rookie quarterback. It's a little bit of a mixed bag, and you're not quite sure how they're going to play from week to week. We're going to kind of cut out the advertisements. We'll do those at the very end, just kind of talk about all of our friends that are all over the community that help us here in the OMFL. Let's talk about the business season. Business season number 90 is in the books, and it's hard to believe we're already in week number 3. It was one of the quicker business seasons that we've ever had. It was the schedule that everybody chose. I guess it's because I'd say so many of us, but the fact is almost every single one of us are stuck at home a lot. Very few of us, you and Massimo and a few others, are still out and about a lot, but a lot of us are pretty much stuck at home and have a lot of extra time, and so we ran through the off season pretty quickly. I didn't have a whole lot of cash to spend, so I actually was not in free agency at all this year. I'm trying to be smart with my money and not go and make those free agency splashes and get myself in cap trouble. I also traded away a lot of my draft picks to get a quarterback, and so I didn't have a whole ton of draft picks, but this was still a pretty good off season. Let's dig into it. What was your overall feelings of both the free agency and the draft? Maybe even who do you think did really well?
I got a few teams jotted down here. Like I said, I can't touch on the draft as much. I worked on the draft, so I didn't get to play with the draft as much. I seems like I always work on the draft. I don't know how that works out.
It does seem to be
but
like
it plays
you're
like that.
every
The
draft.
draft knows I don't like it, and so it just
Usually
plays
you
that
trade
way.
out of it too.
I do. I actually had my first up until I think the 2 days before this one, and actually traded it. I was gonna keep it this year. This was gonna be the year. But free agency, I thought was real good. I thought you had some game changers in free agency. I think you had a lot of older game changers, but at this point, I think some of these teams are just a piece or two away from making a jump. I mean, you're talking about playing someone like the Steelers, or the Falcons, or even the Panthers, who had a really good offseason. Those teams are just well stacked. You play against them, and one or two good guys you pick up for agency could be that momentum that puts you over the top against a team like that. I had a couple teams. I look like the Dolphins. The Dolphins have turned it around. They're 2-0 this season. Big pickup for them, T.Y. Hilton. He's been looking for a weapon, for a couple seasons now. He's tried to trade for people. He's got a weapon on the outside. Hilton's a little older. Hilton can still do the job. I almost regret get rid of him 3 or 4 years ago because he's still a weapon. I go to another team that I thought did well was the Panthers. I just spoke on them. They picked up Devontae Freeman, Amari Cooper, Micah Hyde, Andrew Norwell at left tackle. He picked up. I mean, that's 3 game changers right there on top of a few players I didn't name. But Freeman could be dangerous in that backfield with McCaffrey, and with Cooper on the outside. I know Big Hurt's a big Cowboys fan in real life. I had a feeling he was going to put all in for Cooper. That could be a big pickup, but he needs every piece he can get in the NFC South, and it's just so competitive over there. Another team, the Raiders, hasn't really paid off this season yet, but he did find his quarterback of the future. He picked up Sam Darnold, quarterback of the future for him, but it hasn't quite paid off. He's only averaging 15 points a game so far, which is, and we all know what the Raiders can do offensively, and I've seen him do it way worse. I'm kind of shocked he's 30th in the league right now in points. He's like 10th or 11th in passing yards. I'm sure he'll get it figured out because the Raiders have I always expect a lot out of the Raiders. I think he's about like the Broncos. I don't know what it is about that division. They can do a lot with a little, especially offensively, and he hasn't figured it out quite this season. One team that does worry me, and it was one of the biggest acquisitions of the offseason, was the Bengals, picking up DeAndre Hopkins. It was a hot topic. I think everybody was just trying to bid to keep him out of Atlanta.
Yeah, explain what happened there.
They both maxed out, gave him the maximum they could give him.
And the Falcons actually had more, or at least had more points.
D-Money's, with his coaching traits, he could get more points. But I guess Hopkins wanted to go to Cincinnati.
Thank God.
In the words of D-Money, in the chat, I guess he didn't want rings. I think that's what he said. So take that, Cincy. Maybe that'll light some fire under you. But paying him, but this goes back to what I was saying, is a hit or miss. I think it's a great pickup. I think Cincy can turn any receiver into a good receiver. But you give him an X-factor guy like this, and I think, he can go off the charts with this guy. At the same time, is it for $40 million a season? That money could have been allocated somewhere else. That's a lot of money brought into one player. And so, honestly, in my opinion, if Hopkins doesn't have 2,000 yards this year with 15 touchdowns, then he's not worth $40 million. That's just me thinking, because I do like to spread my money out around players. I'd like your thoughts on that, but just my thoughts. $40 million on one player, and I get it. I thank Cincy. For the rest, I'm sure the league thanks him to keep him out of Atlanta. But $40 million for one player, that's a lot of money.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think he will get it since he is a great offensive player. You can see I think he's averaging 39 points already, and so I think he'll be fine. A couple of teams that I thought could have been more active, and like I don't know cap situations. I don't have things absolutely memorized here, but the Bills, you would expect this to be a team that has some money to spend. But didn't see them become too active. Thought the Broncos were going to be much more active, especially a team that I feel like is right there on the cusp and could possibly break through and make some noise. The Chiefs dumped a ton of salary last offseason, and you can see that they haven't really spent a ton of money. They're kind of keeping their in-house guys. That's an interesting team build that he's going through. But I do want to touch on one team that you kind of brought up. Before I get there, let me talk about the Packers too. This is a team that I think has drafted really well over the last few seasons. I think he's spent his money pretty wisely. He's a team that could be super dominant if he just stops turning the ball over. Right. And that's his problem. He just cannot keep himself from turning the ball over. But I want to touch on the Panthers real quick just because you brought him up and made me realize a couple of things about this team that just doesn't quite add up for me. You've got a couple of different quarterbacks over there that they've been trying in Will Grier, and then Donald McCoy is his starter. He's a 3-year player out of Miami. Probably is his best player, but Will Grier is still being paid really good money. This is a team that had the Vikings running back whose name is escaping me already, and McCaffrey, and then he goes out and he gives Freeman a big contract to come in there, but he still has McCaffrey. And I know the argument's always been made, well, McCaffrey gets hurt a lot, but you're bringing in a 31-year-old running back to Davin Cook, that's it. Thank you, Kev. Yep. But you're bringing in a 31-year-old running back when you have a superstar in McCaffrey. And then when we talk about receiver in Amari Cooper, you already had Mike Williams. I guess he got rid of. That's right. He did get rid of his other guys. So he replaced them with an older Cooper. But he had a couple of very young, fast, just explosive playmakers over there, and you go out and have to spend 34.2 penalty on Cooper. It's just a little bit of a head scratcher how he's building this team. Look, I just find it funny. 2 seasons ago he was talking about how he was going to overthrow the mighty Falcons. Then he got he picked up a computer win. I still think he got handed a free win. That's right. He traded DJ Moore to Cincinnati. I find that funny too. His 2 best young players he traded to his best friend in the league. But anyway, he goes out and gets Zach Brown a couple seasons ago, who's an aging middle linebacker. He's talking all this smack about he's going to overthrow the Falcons, and now it's quiet like a library over there. He's got Marcus Peters. This is just an old team. This team is getting very old, very fast, and I don't know that he has started to turn the corner with this team. He's definitely got the playmakers, and he's a really good player. He's definitely going to, probably finish second place in the South. He's a good player. I just wonder how he's building that team. Overall, I thought the draft too was average. I don't think it was a great draft. It was not a very top-heavy draft, and not a lot of filler as you kind of went through the rest of the draft. And since we're on the draft, we can kind of share really quick. This is the year that we imported real-life NFL rookies. So these players are not up for import, since these players will be in next year's Madden, but I like to do this just to keep engagement. It gets people excited. The real draft is just a couple weeks away, so you guys can see here exactly what what the draft is going to look like. And this one right here needs to be changed because I'm told that the name is spelled wrong. But this will be fun. It'll be a good way. This is going to be quarterback heavy. This is going to be receiver heavy. Here's the thing I don't love about these man-made drafts is they're usually skewed and they don't match the Madden draft when it comes to like overalls and all that. And so it introduces a lot of really, really good players into the league, and I don't love it, but it's a trade-off of I kind of give up on that because I get more engagement, I get people excited to carry us through the summer months. And then the last little thing before we move on to some predictions is I think the Devo program worked. I know a lot of people, I didn't say a lot, I think a vocal minority hated the Devo plan, but it worked. You know, we got some really good players in free agency that were aging out of their teams. We evened out some of these X factors. I think we cut X factors in half, which is what we needed to do. It's 60 X factors in this league. 60. It's a crazy number. We cut those around 30, 35. And then Superstar stayed around the same. We didn't have a ton of fluidity. I think we went down just a little bit. And Star was able to, I think, actually grow a little bit, which is what we wanted. We wanted to give the bottom a chance to move up. We wanted to cut the top down. And then we've even adjusted our rules this year to where from 16 players to 12 players. But I think it helped free agency a little bit to get those aging, really good players out there. Any comments? I know that we didn't talk about the Devo program with you, but around the Devo program?
Well, I was going to say, if you were tanking for Burrow, you're not doing a good job yet, Nate.
No. I would love to have Burrow or any of my LSU guys, but tanking is not in my DNA. Even if I'm having a bad season, I'm trying to win every single game. So it would be nice. It would be nice to have Burrow, and whoever gets that top 5 pick, I'll gladly talk to you and see what we could work out, because it would be fun to have Burrow for the last couple of seasons.
Go ahead and throw that disclaimer out there. You've been trying to trade Kamara for a few seasons. If he
oh my God, nobody wants him. Yeah, that's not going to happen. But I'll give up like Carr and Kamara and even Thomas. Like, I'll give up a lot to get my guy. It would be fun to have a couple LSU guys.
I think that you're talking about the dev program.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
No, please.
I thought it was pretty good. I know from my team, I had some guys drop. I had some guys go up. I think like Quentin Nelson went down from superstar to star, but I had Braden Smith went from star to superstar. And so it's a hit and miss. It's a trade. I was kind of like Cam. I didn't think Cam would keep his X factor. I'm not really sure how. I don't know. I don't know how he kept his X factor, because I don't pass the ball enough to keep an X factor with the quarterback. But I did think, like you said, dropping. If you said we went from 60 to 35 with the X factors.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good drop. I mean, you're talking about an average of a little more than one a team, and I know that some teams have 3 to 4. I mean, like, look at the Steelers. I think he has 3.
Yeah, I think he's.
But he went from like 6 or 7.
He has 7 or 8. Yeah.
I know he lost a few. I don't know if he gained any or not. But I think it worked out well. Like I said, I'd be lying to you if I told you I understood it 100%. But I do like the idea of limiting the X factors to an extent. So you're not hearing no complaints out of me about it.
No, you're not a complainer anyway. But I would say it's fairly easy. Again, just a quick disclaimer for those who don't understand is like. Yeah, Browns, you're right, Kevin. Browns do have a ton of X factors, and he was very unhappy about this program. And I get it, and I respect people who don't like it, and I will hear them out, and but still try to do what we need to do. But there's just kind of some minimum benchmarks that you have to hit. So the way Madden does it is you have to hit these minimum benchmarks, almost similar to what we created. So it's like so many pass attempts or so many rush attempts. After you hit those minimum benchmarks, you have to be in the top for 2 categories. One passing category, or in passing it's like 2 passing categories, like a percentage and a yards. in rushing, it's like average in yards. So you have to be in the top 3 for those two to get an X factor bump. So we just played off of that idea, but we expanded it to include more things than what Madden included. And so you just have to hit those minimum benchmarks, and then you gotta be in the top level of a couple of those categories. Muted myself so the stream didn't hear me spread my corona all over everybody. But yeah, I think it's a good thing, and Rob worked so hard with Penguins, and I think it's a cool system that we'll keep in place until Madden kind of fixes the way it does it. But hopefully they fix it next Madden. All right, let's talk about some predictions. We'll start in the AFC, see how quickly we can run through these. The AFC North, you got the Bengals at 2-0, Ravens at 1-1, Steelers at 1-1, and the Browns, which is not what I would expect to see, but then it kind of makes sense because the poor guy has a brand new newborn baby at home, but he's sitting at 0-2. How do you see the AFC North playing out?
I think it's one of the most interesting divisions because, we looked at the Browns. You talked about the Browns being kind of a surprise. He made a big move, I know, involving you, but he went and got Mahomes, went and got a quarterback. Offense has always been his issue, and
didn't work out so well.
It hasn't quite panned out yet. Especially points-wise, I've always said Chaotix played off his defense. He's given up 34 points a game so far this year, very un-K-like. You look at the Steelers, they're giving him 33 points a game, only 25. He had a big loss in week 2 to the Jags, which Brady played
was
like
mind-blowing.
Prime Brady. He looked like Prime Brady back when Brady was running that division, or running the division. And then you go to the Ravens, kind of hit and miss, a team that we've seen make a long run in the playoffs. And then you got the Bengals, who have, like I said, 37 points a game, only giving up 11. When he gets the pieces in place and he has the momentum with him, I don't know if there's anybody more dangerous here than Cincy. Outside of maybe D-Money, because Cincy's just scary when he's in his zone. This division is just really shaping up to be the Bengals, and I say that because I just think he's got the weapons now to fight with the defense that the Steelers have. I think it's kind of a two-man race. I think the Browns and Ravens are good teams. I just think the Steelers and Bengals are just on another level compared to most teams in the AFC. I think they might be your top 2 teams in the AFC when it comes to stick skills and team skills. The Steelers have it all on paper, and he's a great user. And then the Bengals can do with less, but he might be probably the top 2 stick users here we have. I'm going to give it to the Bengals right now. I think he's got so many weapons. He went all in. When you give a player $40 million, you're going all in to win now.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he's doing. I think you go with Bengals 1 and Steelers 2. I do think there's an outside chance the Steelers could take that top spot. I'm going to give it to Cincy right now. I just think he's always been explosive on offense with less pieces. Now he's got the superstars on offense. I think he's the one you got to watch out for.
Yeah, I got the Bengals number 1. I think he's back. He's got all the weapons. That offense is rolling, and since he has won in this league, it's when his offense is rolling. And right now, his defense is helping keep up. And usually, defense is going to be the issue for the Bengals, but it seems like they've got all the tools and pieces. Look, the Ravens have had some serious real-life things happening. He lives in Puerto Rico. He's one of our favorite humans in this league. That guy's just battling real life things, and I think until he can concentrate and focus, which is hard, and it's not anything he's doing, I think he's going to be a 500 team here. The Steelers is the shocker here. I do think that they're going to be at towards the tippy top. He's going to win more games than he loses here, but 66 points in your first 2 games, 41 or 42 in the game against the Jaguars, which Brady is not really known for that. He's turning the ball over a ton, and it just is not it's just not a good thing for the Steelers, and so he's going to have to get that figured out to get back to the top. I do think the Browns, I think he's trying to prove a point, which I think is not the best move. Like, embrace who you are, embrace what you are. You're a defensive-minded guy who builds great defenses, who wins 9-3 games, 15-10 games, and to give away all that defense to go out and get offense, just to prove a point that you can play offense here too. It's questionable, and now he's got a lot of money tied up in the offense. His defense is always going to be good, but you gave away a lot of those stars. So I do see him coming in 3rd place into this division. I think he'll turn things around, or maybe not. Maybe his first season with the baby at home is just going to be really, really tough. So
Right.
I like the Steelers to win a wild card in this one, but I think since he's going to be one of the top 2 seeds in the AFC. Moving over to the AFC South, your division, Colts at 2-0, Jaguars at 1-1, the Texans at 1-1, the Titans at 1-1. This division, to me, is the most intriguing division in the AFC because you got a lot of talented guys there who are building really good teams. And I don't know if it was just one of those games that happened to all of us sometimes, or if the Jags are really back. But if the Jags are really back, this division completely changes the view. I'll give my predictions and I'll let you come and talk about yours. Of course, this division is going to be owned by you. Niles is a freak of nature. It looked like Big Hurt and his Panthers were ranting and raving about Niles. Did you play him in week 1?
If you remember right, we had the sim in week 1 because we had all the DCs against me and D-Money's game.
Oh, no, but you didn't play Big Hurt.
No, that would have been Breida from the other Hines from Tennessee.
That's what he was complaining about. Well, he was not a happy camper, and I get it. I get why he's not happy. I agree. Those X factors are some of the ones I don't love. But look, Niles is a monster in this league. He is the best back in this league, and the way you play ball and the way you set your team up, you're always going to be 1 or 2 in this league in the AFC, and you've been in the last 5 OMFL Bowls? 4? 3. 3. You've been in the last 3, but I think the last 5 of 6. It's something crazy like that. So you're going to win this division. I do think that the Titans, who are a little bit of hit and miss, 64 points in the first 2 games is scary from that team. He's kind of started to build his team like yours, though. I do think that the Titans are going to be number 2 in this division, with the caveat being that if Brady's back for some reason, then that could really change the way this division looks. I do think Sav is building that team with the Texans, but Sav is still a very busy person, and a lot like the Browns, struggles on offense. 20 points on offense and 54 given up. That's just going to be a struggle. So I like Colts to win this division, Titans to be right there for my second wild card, and everybody else is trying to battle it out and beat each other up. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, I think the Titans are probably one of the, I hate to say underrated because he's not underrated, but he does have a Hines 2.0. Breida, if he can stay healthy, might be the best back here. To me, he's more versatile with Breida. He involves in the passing game. He probably runs more outside than I do with Hines. Hines usually I go outside a little bit. I stay within the tackles. He's a lot more explosive with Breida. I think Breida is probably your biggest game changer. The Jags have kind of been like this whole cycle, though. I've been beat by Brady once or twice this cycle. He's just Jekyll and Hyde. You get the great Brady, and then you get the Brady that just falls flat. And he's another one, almost like the Browns, that have made his living off of the defense, being a good user lurker, and doing just enough on offense to keep you honest. And he's kind of been hit and miss on the build-wise. If you look at his team compared to, he's 79 overall as a team, which isn't great, especially at this point in the cycle, because you have a lot of teams that are low, mid-80s. I just think I think if he was more plugged in the off season with certain things, I think he would have a lot better team. And I'm not taking shots at Brady there. I'm just saying that I think if he had a little bit better team, you're talking about a 79 overall team competing against 87, 88 overall teams.
Yeah,
and
it's really
I'm not an overall fiend, but it does help on when your team is just a better team. But Brady could beat anybody on any given day just because of how good he is on defense. I do think I just played Tennessee last week. We had a really close game. I pulled out at the very end, but he demolished the Panthers the week before, scored 48 points on a Big Hurt team, and that's saying a lot.
It is.
So I don't like to call my own card here. I go with myself till somebody knocks me off, and it can happen because the Titans have given me a run for like the last 3 years. I think they did have one really down year one year that Brady got hurt and he lost like the last 6 games. But he's pushed me every season to where I have to play 17 weeks and I can't relax. And I know Savante with the Texans, he walked into a rough situation. The Texans have always been known as a rough cap situation, and he had to let Hopkins go. Hey, if it was me, I would have traded Hopkins last season before I let him go in off season. I would have got something back for him, somebody that good. But like I said, he walked into a situation and he walked into it on his own. He chose to go to the Texans, so I can't give him too much slack. But that is a tough build. And like I said, a tough build walking into a division with 3 people who can win this division and make a playoff run. That's just a tough call right there.
All right, so move over to the AFC East. You got the Dolphins at 2-0, the Patriots at 2-0, Bills at 0-2, and then the shocker of this division to me, the Jets at 0-2. But where Clyde has struggled this Madden has been on the offensive side of the ball, only 35 points, and Outlaw has almost double the amount of points that poor Clyde has, and you get that with a rookie quarterback. How do you see this division playing out here in the AFC East?
I think this is a really intriguing one right here because, like you said, the Jets are a team that have made a run. I think they were in the AFC Championship game 2 seasons ago, and they kind of fell flat back. He got rid of Darnold this offseason. He got rid of that experiment. He said he's starting over, and it hasn't worked out yet. 17 points a game, giving up 26. That's not a winning recipe right there. I will say, and in my notes I had the Dolphins that picked up T.Y. Hilton, but you're talking about a team that to start this Madden, I think the Dolphins were like a low 70 team.
Yeah.
You could correct me. I know Kev's in the chat, but you put it to 86 overall team. He's really built this team up.
That's impressive.
He's put his team in a position for these last couple of seasons to make a run. He does have the Patriots right there behind him. The Patriots, he's only given up 16 points a game this year, and I know he really put stock into building his defense back up. I don't know Blue super well, but I know he takes pride in defense. He said it multiple times. Last year, his defense was just a gateway. Just people just ran all over him, and I think he took that personal. So this offseason, he went out and made a point to go get defensive players. So far, it's showing off. He's only giving up 16 points a game. This division, to me, though, is the Dolphins to lose right now. I do think the Jets, if we can't sleep on the Jets, because if he gets it figured out, he's too good of a user to fall flat like he has so far. Mm-hmm. The Bills are still figuring things out. I think if I click on the Bills, I think he still has $15 million in cap. I would not go into the season with $15 million in cap. I'd have got somebody in that last round of free agency that could help my team. I'm not taking a shot at Outlaw there, but being a 79 overall team, there's guys you could have picked up in free agency in that last, like I said, worst case, a 1-year deal. You could have got somebody. And I know he's been trying to make trades, and I'll say this as a disclaimer because I don't want Outlaw to take it personal. Putting stuff in the trade block helps. You got to go to teams and pursue players. You talk about somebody like D-Money and Mo. Mo goes when he did trade. When he did trade, he would go to your team and pursue your player and give you a deal you couldn't reject. So that's what you need to do. You need to go find you a player, throw that first-round pick on the board, and improve. But I do think this is the Dolphins division as of now. Patriots 2. The Jets will move up to 3rd. Buffalo's 4th right now. Jets have a chance to make a play, but he's got to turn around. He's got to figure out that quarterback. That was a huge loss, losing to the Steelers. The Steelers turned the ball over 5 times, blew a 15-point lead in the 4th quarter. That's a game. Oh, I'm sorry if you heard that cow and closed the door now.
That was amazing.
But yeah, that's a huge loss. You go back at the end of the season, he's going to go back and look at that Steelers loss as in he made a great player, turned the ball over 5 times. Yeah. And he still lost that game. And that's just a killer. So I'm going to go Dolphins, Patriots, Jets, Bills in that order.
Yeah, I think the Jets are going to finish 3rd in this division. Rookie quarterbacks are very difficult to win with. I think Bills, Outlaw has some serious talent. Allen's a good player. Proctor is almost unguardable. And he builds defense pretty well. But I think somebody said in the chat he drafted like 10 defensive players, and he still gave up 83 points on defense the first 2 games. That's not acceptable. You can't give up 83 points ever in 2 games. The Patriots are the interesting team. I want to say that Bloop has turned the corner and rebuilt this team and ready to rock and roll. But some of it is like, prove it, show me. And I think it's going to come down between these 2 teams. Winner of this division will make the playoffs. Will not surprise me if this is the weaker division out of all of the AFC. I think these guys might beat up on one another. I think the top 2 will beat up on the bottom 2, but then the top 2 will beat up each other. I see a 9 or maybe 10-win team winning this division, and that's what makes it tough for the Bills and the Jets because you're 2 in the hole already, and that makes it really hard to come back from. So I'm going to go with my heart instead of my head and go with the Dolphins to win this division, but in a very tight race that comes down to week 15, 16, 17. I don't know their schedules exactly, but I think it's going to come down to the very, very end. AFC West, you got the Miners at 2-0, the Chiefs at 1-1, the Broncos at 1-1, the Raiders at 0-2. I think very much like the last division, this is a top-heavy division with the bottom portion having a lot of potential. Like there is a lot of opportunity for the Broncos and Raiders, and we've seen both of those teams have really great seasons, be in the playoffs, be almost unstoppable. So I think that there is some potential here. I think this is the Miners division until otherwise told so. Colin definitely has things figured out with the Sacramento team. He has scored 69 points and only given up 36. He's got that running quarterback. He's just doing a lot of really, 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 really great things. Smash, if I get you to mute your microphone, it's super, super loud and blowing my ears out. But the Miners, I think, own this division. The Chiefs are the interesting team here. That all that offensive firepower, all those really good players. He knew he couldn't pay everybody. Did a fire sale, got rid of everybody. I just don't know what to expect from this team. Clearly a very good offense, scoring 71 points. He's got those really good playmakers at receiver. And then his defense, you just kind of wonder, like, which defense is going to show up. 59 points is not bad, but you're still sitting at 1-1. And just a weird team, a team I can't quite put my finger on. And so it just is going to be an interesting division. I think the Miners win it. I do think that the Chiefs and Broncos will be attempting to push for a wild card, but they won't quite get there. And the Miners win this division, running away. And I think they'll have this one wrapped up by week 12 or 13. How do you see the AFC West playing out?
I think it's hard to argue with anything you said. Personally, I think the Broncos and Raiders are two teams that always just kind of, I don't know, it just blows my mind because they're both really good on the sticks. But they really have a hard time keeping those teams up. And I don't know if it's just not here quite as much. You know, you don't hear from either of them a whole lot throughout the year. Like I said, but they do a lot with the little. They always do. I played the Broncos last year. He really pushed me to the edge with a team that was 10 overall less than mine. The Raiders, like I said, he picked up his quarterback of the future. That's kind of been his issue the last couple of years. He hadn't had a real great quarterback, and it hasn't paid off for him yet. I could see both those teams. I would love to see those teams get engaged in the offseason and throw together a team and have a team on level overall wise with a lot of other teams. But until that point, they play in a division with two guys that show no mercy. Colin with the Miners is just deadly. He's got a loaded team. Yeah. He does have a lot of guys coming off the books this season. I think I looked, and he's got Derwin James, Melvin Gordon, Gator, all coming off this season. And he's going to pay them guys. They're already paid. He's going to pay them again. We'll see if he reloads for the, one last push with them. The Chiefs, going back to that Mahomes-Ward trade, is hit and miss to me because I thought the Chiefs were a better team with Mahomes. I know he didn't want to pay Mahomes the huge money. I think Ward's a great pickup, but I think he was so deadly with Mahomes. He's one of the few owners here that really could maximize Mahomes' potential. And I think we watched a game right before he traded him last year. He played with this council for like 3.5 quarters, puts Mahomes in, plays perfect the last half quarter, wins the game, and then trades Mahomes. Yeah. And I've talked to both of them about the trade, and I can't tell people how to do their trades. Me personally, I don't need an elite quarterback because I can't pass. I can't make an elite quarterback worth what he's worth. But I do think the Chiefs would have been better off sticking with Mahomes. I think he could beat anybody here on any given day with Mahomes at quarterback. He's did good with counsel so far, but Mahomes was an MVP candidate in the hands of Mahomes. But with that being said, without Mahomes, I don't think he can beat the Miners in this division. I think the Miners are so deadly, they can score so many points. And Colin, the only thing that stops Colin is Colin. I mean, you look, it wasn't too long ago. He was the only person he should have beat the money in the championship season 1. I don't know if he pulled a me and was drinking too much during that game and decided not to run the ball out. But he's the only thing that stops Colin is Colin. So in this division, I'm gonna go Colin first. Chiefs second because Chiefs can still score points, even with counsel. He's just not as accurate as Mahomes. Mahomes just had everything. But he's a 2, can play for that 1. if Colin gets in his own way. But Colin's just so steady. He's got a super team built up. I think he's the highest rated team in the game. Got a top team, Chiefs, and then honestly, it's a toss-up between the Broncos and Raiders. I think they can surprise anybody on any given day.
Yeah,
but until they get a better team in place, I just can't put them on the level to compete with the Miners and Chiefs yet.
Nope, I agree with everything you said. Let's move over to the NFC and see how quickly we can roll through these. The NFC North, you got the Vikings at 2-0 with our new coach over there, Ross. I knew I'd come up with it. The Bears at 1-1. The Packers, unfortunately, already at 0-3. Listen to this. Dwayne, he's given up 104 points in 3 games. Like, I can't even do the quick math, but I know that's over 30 points a game. It's over 33 points a game. It just doesn't even make sense. And then the Lions at 0-2, which is a little bit of a shocker to me. How do you see the NFC North playing out with Ross showing his early muscles over there?
Yeah, it's kind of surprising because I think, and I can speak for a lot of people, I thought Cooley would just take this division.
Me too.
Especially this. I mean, you look at this division. You got the Bears 82 overall, Lions 83, Packers 83, Vikings 81. I don't know Ross very well. I know Cooley, and I just knew Cooley would come in here. And I think he ran the table and got the wild card last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Then he had to miss the playoffs because he was out of town before the world fell apart. And I honestly had it written in that Cooley would run this division. With the Bears knocking on his door. I didn't know much about the Vikings, but I know the Vikings stumbled at the end of last season. You know, he walked into that team, wasn't a real great team, walked in. He just didn't, when he came in, he didn't show me like, okay, this guy's fixed to take this team over. He's going to run the table with it. And the Packers, you go down to the Packers. Priest, I think you said at the beginning of the show, Priest is on worst enemy.
He's such a better player than freaking 104 points.
He is, and I was trying to pull up. I want to say that he, of course, leads the league, and I hate to say that. Of course, he leads the league, but he does. He is second right now with six interceptions through 3 games, which is, I honestly, I hate to say that's actually pretty decent for the Packers the way he throws the ball around. But go back to what I was saying about the Lions with Cooley. I thought this would be Cooley's division, and I'm still not the one to write off Cooley yet. I know how good Cooley can be. I've played him for a couple of years now. I still think the Lions and Bears aren't teams to be written off. I think the Packers have dug themselves a hole at 0-3, and he's scoring 27 to 34. He looks like he's had some close games. I'd be lying to you if I knew that. I just kept track of his 3 games are so far. But I'm going to have to, until the Vikings just got to show me a little bit more, and this isn't even a knock on him. It's just more how I feel about Smash and Cooley. Smash, to me, plays to his competition, and I know Smash is in the chat with us. I think Smash plays competition. I think Smash in a competitive division can win 10, 11 games. I don't know why he kind of plays down in this division, because I know Smash is a better player than that. But I don't think he can afford to play down with Cooley. I think Cooley is my guy to win this division until the Vikings just got to show me a little more. And I know that he's 2-0 and the Lions are 0-2. I'm still picking Cooley to win this division. I think it's Cooley. And I think the Bears and Vikings are fighting for 2, which they could overtake the Lions. I think the Packers have dug themselves a hole that I don't know if they're going to be able to dig out of. Especially he's already 0-1 in the division, 0-3 in the conference. I'm going to go Lions, Vikings, Bears fighting for 2, and then Packers pulling up the rear.
Here's the problem with this division. It's all the other divisions. There's just so many good players in the NFC. You have to be a 10 to 12 win team to make the playoffs. And that's so difficult in this league to win 10 and 12 games, which makes what you and the Seahawks and the Falcons, you know, some of these teams that are always winning 13, 14, 15 games so much more impressive because it's not that easy. You guys make it look easy, but it's just not that easy. I think this is the Vikings division. 62 points is not spectacular, but it's middle of the road enough for him. The 43 points on defense is, again, enough. He's going to be a running team. He's going to control the clock. He's going to control the flow of the game. I don't think he's got the firepower to beat the Seahawks, the Falcons, of course. You know, I don't even know that he can hang with the Rams, right, who's a very powerful team. So I think the Vikings win this one. I think the Packers are the most talented non-winning team in the OMFL by far. top 5 talented team in the league, period. I know Priest is not, he's not a fan of Nate right now, and that sucks. I wish he was, but it kind of is what it is. I love Priest. There's no hard feelings here, but he's built a really great team. He's got arguably the best quarterback in this league. And he just can't put all the pieces together. And I think he plays a little too by the seat of his pants, just kind of sling it all over to win here. Look, go ahead.
No, I was just saying he is as the Packers. He is Brett Favre. He's a Brett Favre guy. He wants to sling it.
Yeah.
Priest is going to sling it till he can't sling it anymore. I'll let you have that. But I love that about Priest, but it's also his demise. Priest sticks to his guns. Live or die by it.
100%. And he's never out of a game because of that, but he also doesn't win a ton of games because of that, because he just doesn't control the game. He doesn't make good decisions. Look, I think the Bears are a great team. Clearly a very good defense still, even after losing a couple of his really good players like Mack. I mean, he's only given up 49 points so far. Now, I know that's, we do the math, 2 games, it's 25 points a game, but it's not terrible. He's got to get the quarterback situation figured out, which has always been the problem in Chicago. I do like this rookie that he picked up. He accidentally or not, he did break a rule that ended up being the game-winning play against the Rams in Week 1. But he's got a great running back, a guy that was by far going to be Rookie of the Year his rookie year before he got hurt. I'd like to see that guy come back. I'd like to see him get that figured out. And then Cooley, I think, is going to turn the corner. He's had 2 tough games his first 2 weeks. I somehow got lucky and snuck away with a win. And I think he played Cincy in Week 2. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that one. But he had another tough game in Week 2. But still, he's only given up 59 points. And I think he will turn the corner. Give me the Vikings to win this division. Went the long-winded scenic route for this one. I think, that's right, he played the Seahawks. Give me the Vikings to win this division, Lions to be number 2, pushing for a wild card, but I think already in a 0-2 hole that's going to be hard to come back from. Let's go. Sorry, hit the wrong button there. Let me get back to where we were. NFC South, my division. So I got my Saints at 2-0, the Panthers at 2-1, the Falcons at 0-2, but one was a sim, one was a CPU game. The Buccaneers at 0-2. Of course, we all know who's going to win this division. It will be the Falcons. Man, I'm so brain dead right now. I do like what the Panthers are doing, but his defense has given up a lot of points. Of course, we've seen what happened in Week 1 against the Titans, and so maybe it's just a matter of who he's played. I think my team is always a crapshoot. You just never know what you're going to get. I'm a 500 player here, and we'll always kind of hover around 8-9 wins. Every now and then squeeze out a 12-win season, but in the Buccaneers, I think Crazy is building that team, but where Crazy struggles is going to be his offense. He never quite can get over the hump on the offensive side of the ball, and I think this last patch tightened things up. And I will say, though, Kevin, he might go 14-2, but me and other teams had him on the ropes at the end of last season, and I think our new settings and I think these new updates have tighten that gap a little bit. And I think that if you play smart, you play to your strengths, and you just don't turn the ball over, there's some opportunities there. Anyway, I think that the Falcons are going to win this division. I think the Panthers will come in number 2 and will be right there for a wild card spot. I will go ahead and give them a wild card spot and think that they get in. How do you see the NFC South playing out?
Well, I think it's an interesting one. Like we said, everybody in this division is 83 to 86 overall. I think the Falcons are coming back down to earth a little bit when it comes to team-wise. I think he was 89 or 90 overall a season or 2 ago, and he's down to 86 now. He lost Julio to retirement. He lost a few guys in free agency. I would say that maybe he was tanking for Burrow, but he traded his first-round pick away for Adam Thielen. So he's not tanking for Burrow. I do think I looked at his schedule. He's got some pretty tough games coming up. You got the Seahawks coming up, the Eagles. His own, you got to count out. He plays his own division because just how tough that is. He's got the Titans. I mean, you talking about games that
those are tough games.
those are tough games, and so I'm not going to completely write off. Say he's going to go 14-2. I get what you're saying, Kevin. I'm not going to give him the 14-2 yet, I think. But this division, I think this is the year they give him a run. I'm not sure. I know he didn't want to stay up for your game. We had like 4 DCs in our game on the first drives, which was ridiculous. But I do think this division is more wide open than people would think. I'm not going 100% lock with the Falcons. You can say what you want, Nate, about you played CPU and you lost half your team into injuries. But starting out 2-0 and him starting out 0-2, that's a hole to dig. I mean, you're talking about 2 games gap right there. You take care of games you're supposed to take care of. The Panthers reloaded this offseason. The Buccaneers are still that's crazy bees with the Bucs now, right?
Yeah.
And that's a team that he's trying to make his own. It's just it's kind of like I said with Savante. There's a lot of growing pains when you switch divisions. There's a lot of growing pains when you switch divisions to NFC South. Because there's no such thing. You play 6 teams that are playoff teams every year. This division, I can't count the division not the Falcons until somebody knocks the Falcons out. But I think if there's a season to do it, the Saints and Panthers will have the Falcons on the rope this year. And I think the Bucs, it's just a learning curve. I know he switched over there to them to get away from the Vikings, if I'm not mistaken. But he's got a lot to learn that division. He's got a team to put together. And I can't put him in that conversation this year. He's just not there yet. But I do think this is a 3-team race. Your Saints, that's a big win. It's computer win or not, it's good to get a game up on a division foe like that. And the Panthers reloaded with so much talent and Big Hurt, as much as he took shots at my Hines and Breida last week, I still have faith in Big Hurt that he's a good player. He always gave me hell over there in AFC South. Yeah. You can't count him out of any games.
No.
But I think this division is a little more wide open than people would look at it as. Still go with the Falcons, but let's not sleep on these other 2 teams there.
Let's move over to the NFC East. I'm sorry. This is the head scratcher for me here early. I think we'll get more clarity as we go along here, but these are really good teams, especially since the Eagles have figured things out. It looks like Pepper is here to play this season. So you got the Giants at 2-0, Redskins at 1-1, Cowboys at 1-1, Eagles at 0-2. Look, Denver's always going to be a great team. Really great defense, control the clock. Maniac is Priest version 2, not as bad, but gets in his own head. Just I don't know why. He just gets in his own head and gets in his own way. And if he could ever just focus and really put his head down, I think he could really dominate in this division. But how do you see the NFC East playing out?
Well, like you said, it's another division that's just really interesting because this might be, and I'm double checking, might be the most talented division team build wise. The Redskins, your worst team at 83 overall, and the Cowboys, your best team at 86 overall. Like you said, you got a couple teams here in their own head. Pepper can be in his own head. Maniac can be in his own head. Redskins are a team I'm a little disappointed with. I thought he would do more this offseason. He's 83 overall team. He's always been competitive. He's got $13 million in cap left over. I thought he would make some big moves because he's one of your best users here. And I thought he would make some big moves to make a progress in this division. He didn't make the moves I thought he would do. I think he struck out on a few free agents, and it just didn't pay off. And so he came out a little more empty-handed than I thought he wanted to this offseason. Lil Koch is another one after running this division for like 2 years. He was the division leader. He's lost the first 2 games to the Cowboys and Giants. You're talking about a way to start your season. 0-2 in your division. Giants dropped 41 on him. Cowboys dropped 36. He's got to figure out that defense before I can take him real serious on this one. Can't count him out because he is like a 2-time division champ this cycle. And still got a good team. But, man, you just want to start an 0-2 in the division. Man, that's a rough way to start. I'm going to have to give this to the Cowboys. I think that this Cowboys division this season right now, he's got guys in place. The only thing that will stop Maniac is Maniac. I think Pepper's on a good start, but I do think Pepper's – we know what Pepper wants to do. We know he's got Saquon. We know he wants to run the ball. The Cowboys, if he gets defense is giving up 37 points a game right now, he's not going to win many games giving up 37 points a game. If he can get their defense intact, I think it's the Cowboys 1. And, man, I don't know if I can put a place on the next 3 because I think anybody can win this division. But I'm giving it to the Cowboys right now with all 3 teams fighting for it. The Eagles just dug themselves a hole that I would have to put him at the bottom right now because 0-2, starting out 0-2 in division. It's not going to get any easier playing. I think he's playing a first-place schedule, if I'm not mistaken, which is not going to be good when you start out 0-2 in your own division.
Yeah, I don't. The Eagles are the team here that confused me just a little bit. I'm not quite sure what has happened to this team. I mean, they were completely dominant last season. The Cowboys have all the offensive and defensive firepower. I mean, they have really, really good players. The Redskins, I don't know if it's me. I've just been unplugged and missed him, but he seems to be quiet the last couple of seasons, but still playing really good Den Brew football. I think the guy who studies the most and really knows how to attack your team. I actually play him this week, and they're always fun, close, tight games. And then Pepper. You just never know what you're going to get with Pepper. Very good player. Beat you last season. I think he had other really close, tight games. Has a lot of offensive firepower. You can see in just 2 games, 65 points. So I really do think that, look, 0-2 for the Eagles, both of them division games, bro. That's almost like an 0-4 start. That's a big hole. You got to have help. You got to have people come back to you in this one. And it looks like almost all those guys except for Maniac, I think, are in the chat. So it looks like we're talking about everybody that's up. But I think that I don't. This is such a tough call because it's a crapshoot. Like I've watched the Redskins win this division. I know what Pepper can do. I've seen him beat you. Like it's such a crapshoot. This is the toughest division to call. I'm gonna go ahead and take the Giants. But I think Giants, Redskins, Cowboys are all fighting it out. I think the Eagles only 57 points, giving up 77. Both of those division losses, that's going to be freaking tough to come out of. I think the Eagles have some upsets as the season goes along and upsets one of these other 3 teams. These 3 teams will battle it out. I think that the team that doesn't win it will not make the playoffs, but they're going to be right there tight for a wild card. I see this one coming down to week 15, 16, and 17 as we get to the very, very end. Give me the Giants to win this one, though. All right, let's get to our last one, the NFC West. Arguably the most talented owner-wise league or division in the OMFL. You got the Cardinals at 2-0. Look, that team is, I don't care what Rob says. Rob is one of my favorite people here. I really dig people who are willing to put in really good work to make us different and unique in a top league that we are, but also is active and engaged and like doesn't cause waves and like is totally like all in on whatever. So just a little, a little praise from my boy Rob, but that is a talented team. I don't care what he says. He always talks about how bad he is, or that team is stupid good. I snuck away with a win with him last year, but they are frustrating to play. They are built like the Seahawks. They have that type of talent. The Seahawks, we know how good they are. Look, we know that 00 has won divisions in this league. He's won playoff games in this league. Just another guy that can't just seem to get out of his own way. And then we know what Bill can do. Bill has built a team that fits his style, really good defense, a great running game. He's got Andrew Luck, who's slinging it over there. He's so efficient. I think when I played Andrew Luck last season, he was like 12 of 13 or something stupid like that. Very Dwayne-esque. This is a really good division. I do think the Seahawks win it. I don't love that their team has given up 53 points. I think Rob is right there. Rob does win a wild card, gets into the playoffs, but the 49ers and Rams are battling it out. I think 49ers finish last. I think Rams finish third. It's going to be a very tight race, a lot like the East that we just talked about at the very top. How do you see this one playing out here in the NFC West?
Well, it might shock people how I feel about this one. I take back what I said about the NFC East. This is the most talented division on paper. And like I said, you got Rob, who has probably the scariest tandem of receivers in the league. And
quarterback.
Say what?
And his quarterback is stupid.
Yeah, and his quarterback. He's got Isabella, and I cannot remember the other guy's name. But it seems like when I played him, the only thing that stopped Rob was himself. He threw 2 picks against me. I do think this division... I compare the NFC, just back up just say I compare NFC to AFC. The NFC has so many good teams that won't make the playoffs. I look at this, you have 3 to 4 teams in this division alone that can make it. 3 to 4 teams in the NFC East that can make it. and at least 3 teams in the NFC South that can make it. So you got 11 teams right there that could be playoff teams, and only 6 are going. So, but speaking of this division, you talk about last postseason, the Rams should have beat the Falcons in the playoffs. Literally had him on the ropes, and I want to say it was like 3rd and 12, and D Money got a big play to pretty much seal the game. Rams should have won that game. We know what DBL is with that 49ers team. Is a really, really good team. He's just picked the wrong division to be in my opinion. He's just one step below these guys when it comes to team build and the expectations I have for him. The Seahawks and Cardinals, we know what you're going to get. The Seahawks are the perennial. They were the D-Money before D-Money, at least here. Yes. And we know what you can expect of him.
You used to be in the NFC, so.
Well, my team, I always felt like even when I won my championships, people they had a good shot at beating me. I didn't feel like people had a good shot at beating the Falcons and Seahawks in their prime, at least from my own perspective. But I think this division's, and I'm going to shock you, I think this is Bills. I think Bill wins this division.
Really?
I think with Gurley might be the most intimidating. We were talking about Hans and Breida earlier. I think Gurley is the most intimidating back in this league because he's almost as fast as they are. And I've seen him, I want to say it was playing you or maybe playing Dawson a year or two ago. I seen him stiff arm or run over like 10 guys in one play. Yeah. And he's just like a bowling ball. He goes forward, falls forward. He's got Andrew Luck, and when he knows how to play with Andrew Luck, and when I say that, like you said, when he takes care of the ball, is efficient with him, doesn't try to overstep what he wants to do with Luck, he wins games. I think this is the Rams division. I do think you're going to have one wild card out of it. You could have 2. Mm-hmm. I don't think so. I think they're going to beat each other up just enough because you have too many good teams in the NFC to pull 2 teams out of the division, in my opinion. But I think this is the Rams division. I think Rob's right there. Rob has the offensive firepower. I want to see him stop these other teams. The Seahawks, they're the Seahawks. At 1-1, I'm not worried about Mo and the Seahawks. He has a team. His team's not as rated as high. He did lose some players this offseason, but he is another one. Lockett and Metcalf can just kill a team. I think they average like 220 yards combined between both those players a game. But I'm going Rams. I'm going Cardinals and Seahawks knocking on the door to the Rams, and I got the 49ers bringing up the rear just because he's in the wrong division. I told Dawson that when he was the 49ers this whole time. You just picked the worst division to be in because that division is just super competitive.
Nope, I completely agree with you. So really quick, this was not on the schedule, but who wins OMFL Bowl number 90?
I think the Bengals, and I honestly hate to say the Falcons get there, but I don't know if you can pick against the Falcons till somebody knocks them off. But I'd say Bengals and Falcons. I think the Bengals beat them. I think he's got the offense to do it. Cincy doesn't get in his own head. I got in my own head against the Falcons the last couple of years, and I don't think Cincy gets in his own head. I think he's got the offense to do it, and I think Cincy, brings balance back to the force in the OMFL.
Yeah, I think that the last, 3 OMFL Bowls have been the Colts and the Falcons.
Yes.
I don't see that changing, and until it changes, I think that's exactly what we see. Sorry, this PlayStation is terrible. I think that that's going to be the repeat again, and I think what we're going to see is. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure we've got the right questions up, and it looks like Denver's the only one, and one of them is super funny. So anyway, I think that's the OMFL Bowl that we're going to see again. I think that if you just stay out of your own head and play your normal game, you're going to be right there. I do think the Falcons are beatable. It would not surprise me if the Seahawks beat him and get in there. It would not surprise me if the Rams are able to focus and get in there.
I think it's more wide open this year than it ever has been.
I think I agree with that. I don't know, though. I think there's an aura around D-Money now, and he is so consistent. He will not waver from his game plan, and he just continues to hit against that wall, and I think he does win another OMFL Bowl. All right, let's take some mailbag questions. It looks like we've only got 4, all of them from our buddy Denver. His first one was not a question, but a statement. I'm so appreciative that I have a place to come and forget about the craziness of the world for a few times a week. Appreciate it, you guys. I appreciate that, Denver. That's what we want. That's the place that we want to create. There's a lot of stress and a lot of people carrying a lot of heavy stuff out there. And we want this to be a place that people can unplug. And I know some of my friends here have maybe struggled with that, and that is normal. Like real life is going to bleed into what we're doing here, and I know that we've created such a safe place, and this is where a lot of people have their social connections and have their friends. But I've also had a few conversations to ask guys that, I just don't want the fear of the world to creep into that. As you guys know, I'm a pastor, and so I kind of have my own beliefs around that. But I want the chat to be a safe place, and a place that we know where we can go get our Corona updates, so we know where we can go watch the news. I don't want to. I don't want our chat to be that. I want it to be talk Madden. We can get frustrated with the game, and let's just talk shop and have a place just to unplug. So, number 2, did the OMFL player development program accomplish in 1 year what it hoped it would? I know that one's aimed at me. I agree. I think it did. I think we got exactly what we wanted to see. Cut the X factors in half. Superstars, I think, can come down a little bit more. Rob has such a great mind for this thing, and I think I took Penguin's germ of an idea and made it maybe a little too big of a thing, but Rob helped take both Penguin's and I's ideas and mash them together in such a unique way that works, and put real science behind it and real math behind it. Rob is an asset here, and I hope that guys appreciate him. He's one of those key core guys that you build a league and a community around, and I'm very appreciative of him. So I think we did. I think you'll see some changes this year as we learned a lot after year 1. And I think it's a much better system than what Madden is offering us. And at the same time, as much hard work is going into it, I hope it goes away for Madden 21. I hope that they fix their system and we don't need things like this. Because I get that some people think I just like to create work for anybody, and I don't. And at the same time, I do things that make us different, because that's what makes us a top league in the PlayStation community. Is because we're willing to do these extra things. We're willing to engage owners and get them to help us create really unique opportunities. Number 3, when building your team, do you prefer to have big receivers while sacrificing speed, or is it all about speed for you? That's a really good question.
It is.
Dwayne, you have built your team different ways, different times. How do you view that?
I do think it varies, and I know we're talking about this Madden in general, but I think it varies. I think you go back 2 Maddens ago, where speed was king. As long as you had speed and release, you could get guys down the field open. I think last cycle wasn't quite as overpowered with the speed, and I think this cycle, honestly, of course you have your demigod receivers like Julio, DeAndre, guys like that have speed, route running. I almost would take a route running guy who was just average speed, and I say this because I don't have this. I would have a guy that was route running, average speed, but just an elite route runner that can get open, because my team is speed built. I have Tobias Scott, Parrish Campbell, and Antonio Callaway, who are all speed guys who I built for speed, release, stack the box against me, and I want to send guys deep on you. And it doesn't work like that now, because you play somebody like Deep Money, his cornerbacks frustrate your guys, do not let him get off the line, so therefore he nullifies your speed. So me personally, I didn't build my team this way, but I would honestly go with a route running guy like a Thielen. Like I said, Thielen played against me for the one drive, and Thielen kept getting open, and I have it above average cornerbacks, and he just kept getting open because the route running so high, release is high, doesn't need the speed, he gets open. I prefer speed. I love throwing it down the field, but with today's pass rushers and the way that the speed and stuff is adjusted, I think it's better to go with a route running. He can be a big guy, but just a route running average speed guy.
Yeah, I think this Madden has changed for me. Last Madden started to turn the corner a little bit. I think up to this point, when I build a receiver, I don't care about overall. I care about speed. And when I say speed, I don't need a 95 plus speed guy. I don't hate that, but I need 92, 93 speed plus. I need 92, 93 acceleration plus. I need high 70s plus catching. A 77 plus guy is totally fine with me, and that's kind of the receivers I've always built. Now this Madden though, I think we kind of turned the corner, and I don't think speed is king. I think route running is king. So I have Thomas, who I think is a great route runner. But then I did go out and I did trade for, again, not a superstar burner guy, but Valdez-Scantling Jr. from the Packers, who's like, I think, a 92 or 93 speed guy with height. And so I don't think the 5'9", 98 speed guys are killer. I've got a couple of those guys on my team, and they're nothing more than third, fourth special teams guys. So like what we seen Mo do a couple seasons ago, where he seemed to have like 3 5'9", 99 speed guys. I don't think those are king anymore, and it's more about route running. It is nice to have some size that can hold on to the ball. Even at tight end, I went with size and sacrificed speed there. But if you get a guy who's got both the size and the speed, I think a Proctor, though, is like 91, 92. I could be wrong with that, but the guy from the Packers, not Foster, I forget his name. He hasn't been great the last 2 seasons, but he's a stud. Like, if you get size and speed like a Julio Jones, it's unstoppable. It's really, really hard to stop. Fowler, that's it. All right, last question from Denbrew. I don't know if you haven't watched The Tiger King, you're not going to get this, but you should go check out The Tiger King. It's the craziest thing in the world. Is it me, or is Little Koch and Joe Exotica, a.k.a. The Tiger King, the same person? I'm not going there. I don't know if Little Koch and Joe Exotica are the same guy, but I've seen pictures of Outlaw, and him and Joe Exotica have similar looks. So maybe Outlaw is really the Tiger King. Maybe it's Priest. Priest is the interception king. We could turn him. He could be Joe Interception. He'd be the interception king. Anyway, have you seen The Tiger King?
I have not. I've heard of The Tiger King, but not seen The Tiger King.
It is. It is very unique. I stumbled upon it last weekend, and I didn't think that it would be something I'd be into, and ended up watching every single season. It is complete brain junk food, but a lot like most junk food, you can't just watch one episode. You gotta watch all the episodes. All right, let me put some closing thoughts on things. What do you think season 90 and the end of season 89 and everything that we do?
I thought it was well. I think this season in general is going to be a little more wild card. I think I've said it a few times. I do think this is going to be the most wide open we've seen it. I think the NFC is just full blown with a ton of talent. I think the NFC, and I know I argued this, I want to say it was the beginning of the cycle or something. We talked about the AFC was way better than the NFC. The NFC is trouncing us right now. The NFC just has so many good teams. The diversity is there. Honestly, I don't even care to win the OMFL Bowl. I just want somebody to beat D-Money and don't let him get the OMFL Bowl. Just somebody else do it. But I do think I thought we had a really great offseason, really fast offseason. You said that earlier. It sped up, but like I said, when most of us are confined to the house, or most everybody's confined to the house, that you don't have nothing else to do, you might as well just burn the offseason. And I thought it was a good one. I thought this is probably the best offseason we had. I wish it was stretched out a little longer, but I do think it was the best, as in free agency was big. You had game changers free agency. I know that's been the talk, is in the way we do our contracts, we try to influence to help free agency, and it hasn't been real great the first couple seasons, but this last season you really got some game changers in there, and people paid for it. I mean, you see John Hopkins got the biggest contract probably in OMFL history. But I thought it was real good, and I think this season is going to be real interesting because, like I said, I think the diversity is there. I think a bunch of teams are primed to make a run this year. I don't think it's a two-man show. I sure don't think it's just one-man-only show this year. I think it's going to be a good season. I think it ought to be really interesting to see how this season plays out.
Yeah, but it's good to see a lot of articles are coming back. Guys have a little extra time, so they're writing articles, and just overall, I think it's been a really good off season, and gameplay overall has been pretty decent. We haven't had a ton of issues, and this is where we start to see issues bubble to the top of the surface because guys start to figure out the game. So hopefully we stay the course and stick to what we're doing here. All right, let me talk about a couple of our partners. DaddyLeagues.com, of course, Pappy and his buddy who helps him over there, Pootie T, I forgot his name for a second there, we're big fans of those guys, and we could not do what we do without Daddy Leagues. I mean, you can see our Daddy Leagues webpage here. I think we have one of their more unique pages. This will probably go away next Madden, unless I kind of patch things up with the guy who helped build this, who kind of screwed us a little bit a couple Maddens ago. But hopefully we can still have a really cool Madden Daddy League page. And I just appreciate everything that Pappy's helped us with and allowed us to be a part of. LeagueCrawler.com, massive fan of Matt. Haven't heard from you in a while, Matt. I hope everything's well. Matt is just very community-minded and has created such a great resource. If you run a league, you need to go check out LeagueCrawler.com. I talk about it here on every Press Pass Live. You need to have a profile over there talking about your league. If you're an owner, you need to go create a profile, find all the leagues that you play in, leave a comment about their league on their page, give them a rating. It just helps more people know how great leagues are, and I'm always encouraging people to go and do that and give us a rating and leave us a comment. And then Sodenbo, our buddies over at Xbox One, Soden and I have not touched base with. There's so many things we've wanted to do and just haven't been able to do around hosting a game and getting some commentary and just doing some cool stuff. I think we'll get there one day, but we appreciate our buddies over at Sodenbo and always on and promoting their stuff. And then, of course, our friends over at OCW, Austin DTA, are some of our WWE partners. E-Kings, which I think has disappeared, not quite sure. And then our buddy Shopmaster. I haven't talked to you in a minute, Shop. I hope all is well over there. But Shop has some of the greatest Madden and 2K content that you're going to find. Go check him out. Subscribe to him on Twitch, or Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. And then go check out his website, shopmaster.com. And that's going to wrap it up, guys. It was so good to have you back, Dwayne. I know even the guys were excited to have you back. They were talking about you in chat. So it's just good to have you back home where you belong. I hope that you stay safe, and hopefully this isn't the last time that you can come and join us and be a part of the show again.
Yeah, I was glad to be back. I enjoyed talking about it. I'll be sure to just, next time we do a show, just put it back in there, and I'll if I can, I'll jump on. Work should be kind of steady. We'll see how this whole coronavirus stuff takes up, but hopefully it all gets under control. We can just kind of go back to living our normal crazy lives.
Yeah, I personally believe we got around 2 more weeks, something like that, 14 to 18 days, and I think we'll be back to normal before we know it. Thank you guys so much for the interaction this morning. It's good to see the chat rocking and rolling. We really appreciate you. I feel like I need to go take a nap, but it's 10:30. It's like nap time is over. So until then, have a great rest of your week. God bless you. Peace.
Later, guys.